As Romeo unleashed his deadly aura and rushed to punch Al, he uppercutted him off, defeating him with a single blow and making all the demons run away. The following day, the king congratulated him for saving the entire country. But Al already knew how this was going to end up, so before he could run away, the king asked him if he would serve their country. Al tried saying he was just an ugly farmer, but the king told him that he'll even give him his daughter if he accepts. But Follies already knew Al was more into vegetables. She told him that to reward him for saving all of them, she'll give him the 33,000 square feet of farmland, on the condition that he registers to a guild. So Al accepted to defend the city, and shook her hand, but he had just fallen for the biggest crypto rug pull of all time, because when he got to that farming land, he realized it was a wasteland more worthless than an NFT. The following day at the Adventurers Guild, Wolverine took Al to the receptionist, but as he tried introducing himself, his stomach growled louder than a dragon, so she took him to a table and had him eat her. For his first G-rank quest, he would need to gather 10 milk grass herbs, but she told him to armor up in case some monsters appeared. However, the adventurers appeared and realized he was the one who defeated the S-rank dragon, shocking everyone in the guild. Jake introduced himself along with Luke, and Lamia wondered how it would feel if his carrot penetrated her insides like the dragon. Before leaving, they told him that they would be joining his party, and he wondered why he was slowly being dragged away by nutcases to his death. Even though they'd support him, Al was still a brokey and couldn't afford anything, so the receptionist gave him her defensive robe. After putting it on, her floodgates opened and she froze in space, but told him that she felt nostalgic looking at him, and introduced herself as Helen before he left the guild. A few hours later, Al had already gathered 9 herbs, but saw a mysterious scale on the floor, and asked Jake if he knew what monster it belonged to. But while it was an unidentified monster, Jake said it could be the Black Dragon God. And as soon as he let those words out, the entire forest was engulfed with a dark aura, and the Black Dragon appeared before their eyes. The fear of seeing the dragon froze them in their place, but the dragon walked past them as if they didn't exist, and before it could disappear, Al tried to look at its stats but could barely get a glimpse, seeing that it was over 100,000. At night, Helen was running away from that dragon before dying, but woke up from the nightmare to see that she was still in her uniform. The following morning, Al's loser squad told the guild master that the dragon had enough power to destroy the entire country, and saw that its name was Ouroboros. When Helen heard that name, she collapsed on the table, but tried to get up because she wanted to know everything about him. Al went on to show them one of the scales he found of the dragon, and when Helen laid her eyes on it, all her memories started reappearing. She remembered her brother screaming for her as the dragon bit him down, ending his life in that moment. After regaining those memories, Helen fell unconscious on the floor. Wishing to learn more about Ouroboros, he began heading to Helen's homeland, but a mailman gave Al a letter from his mother and ran off faster than the Flash. However, he came back to introduce himself as Reeks, but Al told him that he reeks worse than an anime convention. When they got to the village, they saw that it was all left in desolated ruins, but Al heard a voice speak into his head, telling him to come towards the sound. As he kept getting warmer, he arrived at a grave, and the ghost of a boy started talking to him. But Follies wondered if Al had finally turned schizophrenic. However, he tried telling her that there was a kid in front of him, but she couldn't see him at all, so the ghost introduced himself as Ray, saying that he's been waiting for the day when someone could hear his voice. At the same time, Helen felt a longing deep in her soul. Ray wondered where he got that robe, so Al revealed that he got it from Helen, and realized that it might be the reason he could talk to him, so he hugged Follies close to him. However, the feeling of being touched by a man destroyed her floodgate, but she was able to see Ray floating above his grave. Al grabbed her but Follies tried telling him she's not kinky. The ghost revealed that Helen was his sister, and that this village used to be their home. In order to protect her mind, he had sealed her memories away, but begged him to save his sister from the danger that's coming. Because 15 years ago, Ray used to practice every day to become the next legendary hero, and promised his sister that he'll train no matter how many injuries he gets. But after letting those words out, a dark luminous aura began engulfing the village as an explosion went off in the distance, and when they ran back, they saw that their entire village had burned down along with their family. From above, they saw the dragon's wings, but even as they tried to hide, the dragon spotted a family in front of them. As it tried to eat them alive, the boy tried to protect his family, but the dragon said that it hated humans without fear, since hope was a poison to it. So before their eyes, it ate his family and destroyed every bit of hope he had, before swallowing their souls away. Ray tried telling his sister that they should run away, but even after running for hours, the dragon found and cornered them, Even as they kept running, the dragon continued destroying the forest around them, saying that it enjoyed nothing more than the despair on their faces. Before long, Helen tripped on the ground, and the dragon landed before her, saying that it will feast on her soul that was filled with despair. Ray threw a dagger at the dragon's eye and told his sister to start running, but the dragon healed its wound and decided to eat Ray first. As it launched towards him, Ray told his sister to run away, and the dragon bit him down. Seeing the way she was overcome with despair, the dragon laughed at her agony, but decided to let Helen stay alive, because 15 years from now, he promised that he'll come back to eat her along with her entire city, after her soul had saturated with despair. However, Ray said that even after dying, he will never let him harm his little sister, so the dragon promised to allow his soul to remain in the land, and wait for the day where his sister met her fate, disappearing before their eyes. Even then, Ray promised that he won't give up, but his soul left his body, and his sister was left crying on her own. That was what happened 15 years ago, but Ray told them that Ouroboros always left a single survivor alone, because they would spread the terrifying story among everyone, creating a chain reaction of fear to revive the dragon. The only way to defeat the dragon was to not fall for its fear tactics, so he told them to go to his sister and pass his secret message. A few minutes later, Al ran faster than the mailman after finding out that Follies was going to be home alone. When they arrived at the castle, Follies told him that he was extremely fast and rough, and was shocked that he had so much stamina to last that long. At Helen's home, her guardian realized that she was no longer in her room, and Helen walked around the forest with a knife in her hand. Before she knew it, the dark aura of the dragon engulfed the area around her, and when she saw Ouroboros again, she remembered that she was the reason her brother died that day. As despair began overflowing her body, she fell onto her knees, and the dragon told her that her brother is no longer alive because she was a useless burden, so now everyone in this country was about to die because of her again. It was her fault that she got everyone involved, and the dragon wondered what she would do about it, so she offered to sacrifice herself for her friends. This was the immense amount of despair the dragon desired, but he promised that he will still eat every single one of her friends regardless of her sacrifice. As she was about to be overcome with darkness, Al stopped her hand and told her that he was here to save her, but the dragon punched him away, sending him crashing into the tree. The only thing that saved his life was the robe he was wearing, and the dragon wondered if he was even a human for surviving that blow. Al told him that he's not any human, screaming that he's a farmer as he punched the dragon's jaw, sending it crashing into the trees. He told Helen that she'll no longer have to worry, and after inspecting his status, Al realized that this was going to be a rougher fight than the one he has with his grapefruits. The dragon began running towards Al, but Al narrowly avoided his attacks before striking him back. However, the dragon whipped him off with his tail, and while he was on the ground, Ouroboros tried smashing him down, but Al barely resisted and jumped back. A giant fire sphere erupted from the dragon's mouth towards Al, but he tried standing his ground until it launched him miles away. However, he said that he was a goddamn farmer, and told Helen that he'll take her out for a date after this, as he dodged another fireball. Helen told him that she didn't want anyone else dying because of her, but Al grabbed her arm and told her that it's not her fault for people getting hurt. So when she blamed herself for involving him in this, Al said that he knew she would be blaming herself, and revealed that he had met her brother. Knowing his sister, Ray said that he didn't regret saving her, because he wanted her to keep living happily and spread her smile to everyone around her. It was as if she was hearing her own brother's words and seeing his smile, so she started crying. As the dragon came towards them, Al told her that she can't ever give up, because hope is the only thing that'll destroy Ouroboros. After letting those words out, a light began shining from the sky, and Al saw that his stats were rapidly decreasing. But even after he lost most of his power, the dragon still tried to eliminate Al as he rushed down, but Al punched him off with a single blow, sending him crashing into the ground. Seeing how low his stats were, Al realized that he was now stronger, and Helen asked him if he was okay. But as she got closer to him, he heard a knife going inside of him, and saw that she had stabbed his stomach as she looked up towards him with demonic eyes. When she pulled away to let him bleed, Al tried drinking the recovery potion, but it slipped out of his hand. Helen started running to stab him once again, and when he wondered why she would betray him, she told him that she'll be putting him out of his misery. As she ran closer, a giant metal wing blocked her attack, and the holy dragon Mirage had awakened. It told Al to look closely, because Helen was possessed by Ouroboros right now, and Mirage used all of his magical energy to regenerate Al's wound. However, it collapsed after consuming all of that energy, telling him that the only way to save his friend would be to purify the dragon inside of her. Ouroboros mocked him, knowing there was no chance he'd ever attack a girl. However, Al believed in equal rights, equal fights, and knocked her away, telling her that he saw the look in her eyes begging him to put an end to Ouroboros no matter what happened. As he stood over her body, she thanked him for hurting her, but as he tried helping her up, Ouroboros had not disappeared yet, and his spirit emerged from inside of Helen, diving deep into his soul. Now that Al was possessed, there was no chance for anyone to survive. But when the dragon was inside of his mind, he saw that the only thing he wanted to do was play with his hoe and plow his seeds deep in her soil. Ouroboros was shocked that his mind didn't have a single weakness to attack, and his body was repelled away from him. With his remaining energy, Mirage stood back up and released his purification magic onto him, eliminating Ouroboros in that instant, and sending a beacon of light towards the heavens. Before disappearing, the holy dragon was grateful to Al, and the heavenly light dissipated from the forest. As the skies cleared, Follies promised to give him the sloppiest head. A few days later, Al finally woke up from his coma, and Follies was glad because she was finally going to deliver on her promise. But when he wondered what she was talking about, she told him it's not like she wanted to mend his stick while he plowed her against the ground and planted his seeds into her fertile soil, or anything like that. Bakka. Helen told him that he managed to defeat Ouroboros, and when he wondered if she was alright after all of that, she showed him that there were still some side effects. Her arm transformed into a dragon's claw, and Al wondered if Ouroboros was still in there, but she showed him that she's just overpowered now, and transformed both her arms and legs into their dragon form. Having never done it with a dragon, Al wanted to know how those hands would feel. She told him that even though those hands were once used to eliminate everyone, she wanted to use them in order to save lives, and to live happily just like her brother had told her all those years ago. Follies felt like she was about to get cut, but they screamed at her to keep her ugly face out of it. Helen wondered what type of relationship she had with Al, so she said that they're childhood friends, cementing him deep into the friend zone. Just then, Wolverine barged in along with everyone else to make sure both of them were okay, and the adventurers wondered just how overpowered you have to be for defeating a dragon alone. To commemorate defeating Ouroboros, they decided to drink all of the most expensive liquor, and make the dumbass guild master pay for all of it. Follies told them that she'll even have the castle pay them a large bounty, but the dumbass moron still didn't realize she was the princess. A few weeks later, Testa was helping Al carry the crops when Reek showed up out of nowhere to deliver a letter. Al told him he reeked worse than the expired milk my father brought back after being gone for 20 years. After Reek ran faster than Sonic while crying, Al realized that the letter was actually from his dad, and his father wondered if he got a girlfriend at the royal capital. But his mom wanted him to come and visit them since it's been years. So when Testa told him to go see his parents since they'd been separated from a young age, Al decided to see them right after finishing his quest.